Buzz's Retirement Garage. Happy July 22nd, 2025. I hope your day's going well. I want to talk about comparing your life to others. Seems to be a topic, and I started the topic unknowingly, I guess, in a way. I started this topic and gotten a lot of comments on my videos, 600 comments on one that I answered, so that made it 1,200. So yeah, I was answering comments for a long time on a couple of my videos, and that's great because I really try to do that. But one of the things that came up was in that video of $200,000 or less, or was it the $300,000 or less in savings before retirement video? I'm not sure which one it was, but I did talk about Dwayne and I talked about Julie. And Dwayne is at Retire Early 500K, and Julie is at Happy on Monday. And the reason I used them and I compared myself, and I said I'm not running with the big dogs, because they're public with their information. Both of them have around a little over 500,000 when they retired. Both retired early. And so a lot of the comments was interesting because a lot of comments said you shouldn't compare yourself. And I know that's true. I know that's true. I look at Ozzy Osbourne today, passed away. You know what I did last night? I was watching that last concert he did 2 weeks ago, and he was singing that Mama, I'm Coming Home. And you could just see the tears in the eyes of the people in the audience because I think they knew that his time was limited, or they knew they weren't going to see him again live. And those feelings, they're tough sometimes. And, the guys were crying, the girls were crying. It was a tough situation. And I'm glad he did it. And then today he passes away. And I think he knew. Obviously, he must have known it was getting close. But, so to compare yourself, do you want to compare yourself to a rock star who has a crazy life and then passes away? And you know how, if you know Ozzy Osbourne, would that be a kind of life you wanted to live? Yes, fame and fortune, money, but was that a life? Was it? I mean, yeah, some people will say yes, but I don't know. I don't think it's a life I would have liked to lead. But hey, everybody's different. And years and years ago, I was in negotiations we were union and management, and I was on the management side, and someone said to me, one of the negotiators said to me, we're not as wealthy, or as, we don't have a bunch of money or make the money and da-da-da-da-da that you guys do. And I thought to myself, what a comment. And I understand the comment in negotiations. You're making a comment that, management's always making more money, right? And in truth, and I told him, I reflected on that while we were busy negotiating, and I reflected on that in a minute, and I said, well, why did you choose the path that you did? And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? And he was a maintenance guy. I mean, maintenance guys got paid well in our company. And I said, why did you choose the path that you did? And it was a rhetorical question. Like, why did you choose the path that you did, and somehow I ended up on the path that I did? And it's just strange how things work out. You get the breaks. Sometimes you get breaks. Sometimes, in my case, I think I worked my rear end off to get where I was. I took every job that was out there. I made sure that I was the last one out the door. I tried to do all the things to please whoever was signing my paycheck. You want to call me a brown noser? Call me a brown noser. I don't care. But to me, making that money and supporting my wife and children were the most important thing. So when I was comparing myself to the big dogs, Dwayne and Julie, and there's many others out there, I also had a lot of private emails, which I'm not going to share, of course, about certain people who are well off. They're very well off. And one guy, and he's got a channel, and I won't use his name. He's told me and he's actually said it on some of my comments on my channels, but I'll just keep it anonymous for right now. If he wants to chime in, he can. He's set. He had a company. He worked since he was 11 years old. He owned a company. He sold the company. He's not even 65 yet. He's 64. And he just in July 5th, I think it was, he was this close. No exaggeration. He was this close to dying. So he's got tons and tons of money, but yet he doesn't have the health. He's his words. I met the angel of death, and I don't know how I'm alive right now. He had some major problems. So, I should not ever compare myself. And one video that just came out the other day was David in Progress. He did a video basically saying the same thing as, Buzz, stop comparing yourself. You have what you have, and you work with what you have. And that's true. And as you guys know who have subscribed to me and have been along for this ride, I try to, you see, as a matter of fact, I got the board here. I try to, my daily operations, that 3876 that's coming in, and I try to write down every expense that I have. And I try to live within those means. And I see some other people, there was another comment that I saw just recently that said, they can't afford cable TV, they can't afford to go to Costco, they can't afford, da-da-da-da-da. And again, that person was doing a comparison. And the grass is always greener. You heard that old saying, right? Heard it 1,000 times. The grass is not always greener. And we have to stay within ourselves, appreciate what each one of us has. And even some of the comments, if you have your health, that's worth a lot of money. And so far, I had my cancer scare 10 years ago, but so far, I'm hanging in there. Mrs. Buzz is hanging in there. So yeah, that's how much is that worth if you try to put a dollar figure to good health? That's got to be worth a lot of bucks, I think. And so comparing yourself to others, the Smiths and the Jones, and he's got this, she's got that, they have this, not good. Even in retirement, through life, it's not good to do. And in retirement, it's not good to do. I mean, we can look out there and, I wish I was the rock star. Well, look at Mick Jagger, though. That's been a heck of a life, hasn't it? But, but the other guy that I just talked about, not even 65 yet, ton of money, this close. So when I reflect, I just have to make sure that I do what's right for me and continue on, being happy, enjoying my life, and the money will work itself out some way, somehow. Somehow it'll work out. Anyway, my own little pep talk to myself, I guess, and to some of you. Anyway, Buzz's Retirement Garage. Talk to you soon.